Take that uniform off." The words cut through the kitchen like a blade. Everything stops. The sizzling pans, the clatter of knives. Even the low hum of the ventilation system feels like it fades for a second. "You're not fit to cook for people like us." Her heels click sharply against the polished floor as she steps further inside, each sound precise, controlled like she owns every inch of the room. The staff instinctively move aside, creating space without being told. No one wants to be in her path. She doesn't look at anyone else. Her eyes lock onto him. Marcus stands at the center station, one hand steady on the handle of a pan, the other gently guiding a spoon through a simmering sauce. Steam rises around him, soft, controlled, like everything he does. He doesn't flinch, doesn't rush. He simply lifts the spoon, tastes once, and adjusts the flame slightly lower. The woman lets out a short, sharp laugh. "Incredible," she says, her voice dripping with disbelief. "You're still cooking." A few of the junior staff glance at each other. One of them lowers his gaze quickly, pretending to focus on chopping herbs that are already too fine. Marcus places the spoon down, slowly, deliberately. Then he turns, not fast, not defensive, just calm. "Yes, ma'am," he says quietly. That seems to irritate her more. She steps closer, her expression tightening, eyes scanning him from head to toe like she's inspecting something she already disapproves of. "This kitchen," she says, posturing around with a sharp flick of her hand, "is preparing food for people who matter. Investors, critics, people with standards." Her gaze hardens. "And you think you belong here?" No one answers. No one moves. The head chef stands a few feet away, frozen between stepping in and staying out of it. His lips part slightly, but nothing comes out. Marcus doesn't look away. "I was assigned this station," he replies. Simple, direct, wrong answer. She smiles, but there's no warmth in it. "Assigned," she repeats, almost amused. That's the problem with places like this, lowering standards to check boxes. The words hang heavy in the air. A line is crossed. Everyone feels it. One of the cooks shifts uncomfortably. Another suddenly finds something urgent to clean. Still, no one speaks. Marcus's expression doesn't change. Not anger, not embarrassment, just stillness. She steps even closer now, close enough to see the fine details, the steady rhythm of his breathing, the lack of panic. Eye in his eyes. That unsettles her. "I don't need to taste whatever that is," she says, glancing briefly at the pan before dismissing it entirely. "I can already tell." She turns slightly, raising her voice just enough for everyone to hear. "This is exactly why quality slips. You let people in who don't have the background, the refinement." Her eyes flick back to him, the understanding. Thick presses down on your chest. Marcus doesn't defend himself, doesn't argue. He simply reaches over, turns off the flame beneath the pan, and wipes his hands on a clean cloth. The motion is smooth, controlled, like he's done this 1,000 times. The woman watches him, her patience thinning. "Are you even trained for this level?" she asks sharply. "Or did someone feel generous?" No answer. Not because he doesn't have one, because he chooses not to give it. That bothers her more than anything. She exhales, clearly done. "Enough," she says, turning toward manager, who has now stepped forward, hesitant, nervous. "This is unacceptable. I will not have someone like him anywhere near tonight's service." The manager swallows, glances at Marcus, then back at her. "Ma'am, we're minutes away from I don't care," she cuts in instantly. "Fix it." Her tone leaves no room for negotiation. This event is too important to gamble on experiments. The word lands deliberately. A few heads lower even further. The manager hesitates, just for a second. "But enough," she notices, her eyes narrow. "Or would you like me to explain to the investors why standards suddenly dropped tonight?" That does it. The manager straightens slightly, the decision already made for him. He looks at Marcus, avoiding direct eye contact. "Marcus, step out for now." The words come out quieter than intended, almost apologetic, but they still echo. For a brief moment, no one moves. Then Marcus nods. Just once. No protest, no visible frustration. He unties his apron. Slowly, fingers steady, movements unhurried despite the weight of every eye in the room. The fabric folds neatly in his hands. He places it on the counter, not thrown, not dropped. Like it still matters. Someone shifts behind him as if wanting to say something, but the moment passes. No one speaks. Marcus washes his hands at the sink, water running softly over skin that doesn't tremble. The woman watches him the entire time, waiting, expecting something, a reaction. But there's nothing. He dries his hands, turns, and walks toward the exit, calm steps, measured, as if this doesn't touch him. As he passes the manager, their eyes almost meet. Then he's gone. The kitchen remains frozen for a second longer. Then the noise slowly returns. But something has shifted. The rhythm feels off. The woman exhales, satisfied, brushing an invisible speck from her sleeve. "Now," she says, as if nothing unusual just happened, "let's get this place back to standard." No one answers. No one needs to. Because in the back of their minds, a quiet thought lingers. Something about that man didn't feel right to remove. And outside, just beyond the kitchen doors, Marcus walks into the dim hallway, his expression unchanged, unreadable, almost certain, as if he knows something they don't. And that's the part no one can explain. The hallway outside the kitchen is quieter than it should be. No shouting, orders, just the distant echo of controlled chaos behind. House doors. Marcus walks through it without slowing down. His steps are steady, even, like nothing just happened. The fluorescent lights above flicker slightly as he passes beneath them. His shadow stretches along the floor, then disappears as he turns the corner toward the staff exit. No one stops him. No one calls his name. The door swings open with a soft creak, and cool evening air brushes against his face. For the first time since the confrontation, he pauses. Just for a second. Not to look back. Just to breathe. Then he steps outside. The noise of the city is distant here, muted, like the world is moving but not rushing. Marcus leans against the wall briefly, rolling his sleeves up with the same calm precision he had in the kitchen. No frustration in his movements, no anger, just routine, as if this moment was expected. Earlier that morning, long before the tension, long before the voices and accusations, Marcus had been awake before sunrise. The small apartment was quiet, still, a single light in the kitchen. Nothing else. He stood at the counter, sharpening his knife. Slow strokes, consistent pressure. The sound, soft, rhythmic, filled the room. He didn't rush, didn't check his phone, didn't look at the clock. Every movement had purpose. When he finished, he tested the edge against a thin slice of onion. It parted cleanly, effortlessly. He nodded once. Then he began cooking. Not for anyone else, for himself. Simple ingredients, nothing expensive. But the way he handled them, it was careful. Intentional, like each piece mattered. The pan heated evenly. Oil shimmered. Garlic hit the surface with a quiet sizzle. He watched, waited. No wasted motion. No guesswork. It was discipline. Back at the restaurant, Marcus had always been the first to arrive. The kitchen at that hour felt different. Empty, honest. No noise, no pressure. Just stainless steel surfaces and the faint smell of yesterday's work. He moved. He belonged there before anyone else did. Setting up stations, checking ingredients, tasting sauces left from prep, small corrections, improvements. No one asked him to. He just did it. By the time others arrived, everything was already better. But no one said it out loud. They noticed. Of course they noticed. But in a place like this, recognition didn't come from quiet consistency. It came from noise, confidence, connections. Marcus had none of those, or at least didn't show them. "Man, you're always here early," one of the line cooks had said once, tying his apron lazily. Marcus had glanced up briefly. "Work starts early." The cook laughed. "Or you just don't got a life." Marcus didn't respond, just went back to slicing. Clean cuts. Even thickness. Perfect, that was enough for him. During service, the difference became clearer. Other chefs moved fast, loud, calling orders, slamming pans, fighting the clock. Marcus moved differently, not slower, controlled. Every plate that left his station looked the same, consistent, balanced, exact. At first, it annoyed people. "Relax, man," someone had muttered once. "It's just food." Marcus had adjusted a garnish slightly before answering. "It's not just food," that was all he said. But the way he said it made the other guy step back. Not aggressive, not defensive, just certain. Still, no one really talked to him, not beyond what was necessary. He wasn't part of their jokes, didn't stay after. IFs for drinks. Didn't complain about management, didn't chase attention, so they labeled him quiet, simple, maybe even replaceable. It made things easier, because acknowledging what he actually was required more effort. There were moments, though, small ones, easy to miss, like when a senior chef struggled with a sauce that kept breaking under pressure. Marcus passed by, paused for half a second, then adjusted the heat slightly, added something small, almost invisible, and kept walking. No explanation, no credit. Minutes later, the sauce came together perfectly. The chef looked around, confused, but Marcus was already at his station, working, focused, as if nothing happened. The restaurant itself was beautiful. Polished floors, soft lighting, everything designed to impress. But behind the scenes, It was different. Decisions weren't always about skill. They were about image, about who spoke louder, who had connections, who could sell confidence better than competence. Never played that game. He didn't argue, didn't compete, didn't try to stand out, and somehow that made him invisible. Until moments like tonight. Outside, Marcus pushes himself off the wall. His face is still calm, unreadable. Inside the restaurant, pressure is building. Mistakes are probably already happening. Voices getting louder, timing slipping. He knows how it goes. He's seen it before. He checks his hands. Clean, steady. Then he looks down the empty street. No rush, urgency, just quiet understanding settling in his chest. This wasn't the first time someone underestimated him. It wouldn't be the last, and that's exactly why he never needed to react. The first time Marcus held a knife, it was too big for his hand. His fingers wrapped around the handle awkwardly, knuckles stiff, unsure. The blade tilted slightly as he tried to copy what he saw. Not like that. His grandmother's voice was calm but firm. She didn't raise it. She didn't need to. Marcus adjusted his grip. Immediately, eyes focused, lips pressed together. She stepped behind him, guiding his wrist gently. "Feel it," she said. "Don't fight it." The kitchen was small, old, the kind of place where every surface carried history, scratches on the wooden counter, faded tiles, a stove that clicked twice before lighting. No luxury. No space for mistakes. Just heat, time, and discipline. "Again," she said. Marcus sliced. Too thick. She didn't scold him. She just placed another onion in front of him. Again. On he did. Over and over, until his hands stopped shaking, until the cuts became even, until the knife started to feel like it belonged there. That's how she taught him. No praise, no shortcuts, just repetition. Years later, the kitchens got bigger, cleaner, more expensive, but the looks stayed the same. Judging. Measured. "You sure you applied to the right program?" The man behind the desk didn't even try to hide the doubt in his voice. Marcus stood straight, folder in hand, documents neatly. "Organized. I did," he replied. The man flipped through the pages, barely looking. Grades. Recommendations. On paper, it wasn't enough. Not for them. "We're looking for candidates with a stronger foundation." Pause. "Background matters here." Marcus nodded once. Not surprised. He took his folder back carefully. "Thank you for your time." He walked out the same way he walked in. Controlled. But the door closed behind him with a quiet finality. It didn't happen just once. Faces, different faces. Same result. Polite rejection. Soft words. Hard meaning. He learned to recognize it quickly. The moment someone decided who he was, before he even spoke. Still, he kept showing up. Still, he kept applying. Not because he expected approval, but because stopping wasn't an option. The first real break didn't feel like one. The kitchen was louder, hotter, less forgiving. And the man in charge didn't care about anyone. Too slow. The words came without warning. Marcus had just plated a dish. Carefully, balanced, precise. The chef looked at it for less than a second before pushing it aside. Again, Marcus blinked once, picked up the plate, started over. No explanation, no guidance, just pressure. That was the system here. No teaching, no encouragement. You either adapted or you disappeared. Days turned into nights, nights blurred into mornings. Marcus stayed longer than anyone else. Not because he was told to, because he needed to. The others complained. Marcus didn't. He counted mistakes. Overcooked meat. Sauces that broke under heat. Every failure stayed with him, not as frustration, as information. "Why are you still here?" The question came one night long after service ended. The kitchen was empty except for the head chef, watching from the doorway. Marcus didn't stop working. Fixing it. The chef stepped closer. "What?" Marcus adjusted the pan, eyes focused. "I got it wrong earlier, Tane." Oz. "You didn't even notice." The chef's expression didn't change. "That's your job," he said. "To notice." Silence filled the space again. Comfortable. "Then you think this matters?" the chef asked, nodding toward the stove. Marcus didn't hesitate. The answer was quiet, but absolute. The chef studied him for a moment longer, then turned away. "Good," he muttered, "because no one else here does." Training under him wasn't about learning recipes. It was about breaking habits, breaking comfort, breaking ego. Too careful, too slow, too predictable. Every day something was wrong. Every day Marcus adjusted, not emotionally, not defensively, just precisely. He stopped asking questions, started observing more, listening more, understanding the rhythm beneath the chaos, the way heat moved, the way flavors reacted, the way timing changed everything. One night everything went wrong. Orders backed up. A dish burned. Another came out under-seasoned. Marcus moved faster, tried to catch up. That's when it slipped. The plate fell, shattered. Every eye turned. The chef walked over slowly, picked up a broken piece, looked at it, then at Marcus. Clean it. No yelling, no anger. Worse, dismissal. Marcus crouched down, picking up the pieces one by one. Careful not to cut himself. Careful not to rush, because rushing was what caused it. When he stood up again, the chef was already walking away. Start over. That was it. No sympathy. No reset. Just expectation. That night, Marcus stayed until the kitchen lights dimmed automatically. No one else was there. Just him. And the silence. He recreated the dish. Again. And again, each time closer. It was right. Not perfect, but right. He didn't smile and celebrate. He just cleaned his station, turned off the lights, and left. Weeks passed. Then months. Something changed. Not around him. Within him. His movements became faster, but never. His timing exact. His instincts sharper. The same chef who once dismissed him now paused occasionally, watching. Not praising, but not interrupting either. That was enough. One evening during service, a dish went out late, the kind of mistake that gets noticed. The chef stepped forward, tension rising, but before he could speak, Marcus adjusted the next plate. One small change, barely visible. The dish went out. Moments later, a server rushed back. They loved it. The chef didn't react immediately, just glanced at Marcus. A long look, measured, then keep going. That was the closest thing to approval he ever gave. Marcus never chased more than that. No applause, no recognition, just improvement. Step by step, failure by failure, refinement through pressure. Back in the present, outside the restaurant, Marcus shifts slightly, his back still against the wall. The city hums in the distance. Inside, the kitchen he left behind is struggling. He can almost hear it. Not sounds. The pattern. The imbalance. He's seen it before. And he knows exactly why it's happening, because what they removed was never just a person. It was control. Precision. Understanding built over years of pressure. The kind you don't notice until it's gone. Marcus exhales slowly. No frustration, no regret, just quiet certainty settling deeper. Because everything they questioned, everything they dismissed, was built in places like that small kitchen, under voices that I didn't praise, under pressure that didn't stop. And people like him don't break under that. They become something else, something harder, sharper, something patient. And the worst mistake anyone can make is thinking that silence means weakness. Inside the restaurant, the air tightens the moment Marcus steps out. Not immediately. At first, everything continues. Orders still come in. Flames still rise beneath polished pans. Plates still move from station to pass. But something, invisible, shifts, like a rhythm that was never noticed until it disappears. All right, let's move. The head chef snaps louder than before. We're already behind. His voice cuts through the kitchen, sharper now, less controlled. No one responds with confidence. They just move. Messier. Vanessa stands near the center, arms folded, watching like an inspector reviewing a correction she personally made. Her expression is satisfied, composed, certain. This is better, she says not to anyone in particular. Now it looks like a professional kitchen. The manager nods quickly beside her, though his eyes flicker toward the empty station Marcus left behind. Something about it feels off, but he says nothing, because she's not just a guest. She's Vanessa Cole. And everyone here knows what that means. Investments, reputation, power, the kind that doesn't argue, it decides. Table 6 tasting menu, fire first course. The call comes out rushed. A junior cook steps into, hike over Marcus's station. His hands move quickly but not steadily. He glances at the recipe card once, then again. Something he didn't need before, something Marcus never used. He starts assembling the dish. Sauce first, then garnish, then protein. No, that's wrong. Someone mutters under their breath, but not loud enough, not fast enough. The plate goes out. Minutes later, a server returns. There's hesitation in her step. The guest asked if this is the correct version. A pause. Spreads across the kitchen. The chef stiffens. What do you mean correct? She said it tastes different. The word hangs. Oh, different. Not bad. The chef grabs the next plate himself, tasting quickly. His expression tightens, just slightly. Too much acidity, not balanced. He looks toward Marcus's station. Empty and still. For a brief second, no one speaks. Then fix it, he says sharply. The kitchen moves again, but now there's pressure. Not controlled pressure. Unstable. Pressure. Vanessa watches the exchange, her confidence untouched. Minor inconsistency, she says lightly. It happens. The manager forces a small smile. Of course, but his voice lacks certainty. More orders come in, more plates go out, and slowly, the cracks widen. Timing slips. 2 dishes arrive late. Another comes back too cold. A garnish is missing. A sauce is slightly off. Nothing catastrophic. But enough. Enough to feel. Enough to notice. The kind of mistakes that don't scream I whisper. And whispers in a room like this spread fast. Focus, louder now. This isn't a rehearsal. A cook nods quickly, hands shaking just slightly as he flips a pan. Oil splashes. Too much heat. Too little control. Vanessa steps closer to the pass, watching plates go out one by one. Her eyes scan them, judging, measuring, and still convinced. She picks up a fork from a nearby tray and tastes a small portion from one dish before it leaves. Her expression pauses, just for a fraction of a second. Then she sets the fork down. It's fine, she says. But the word doesn't carry the same weight as before. Across the kitchen, 2 staff members exchange a quick glance. You notice it? One whispers. The other nods barely. Either says more. Because saying more means risk. And tonight risk isn't allowed. Another dish returns. This time faster. The server doesn't hesitate. The guest says the texture is off. The chef closes his eyes. Eye briefly. Just 1 second. Then opens them. Redo it. No argument. No discussion. Just more pressure. Vanessa exhales slowly, her patience thinning just slightly. Why is this becoming an issue? She asks, her tone sharper now. The manager steps closer. We're adjusting, he says quickly. Just small, adjust faster, she cuts in. Her gaze sweeps across the kitchen. This level of inconsistency is unacceptable tonight. Her voice carries. Everyone hears it. No one responds, but the tension tightens again. At Marcus's empty station, the replacement cook wipes his hands repeatedly against his apron. He looks at the ingredients laid out in front of him. Everything is there. Exact measurements, same tools, and same setup. But something doesn't connect. He follows the steps, precisely. Still, the result isn't the same. He stares at the plate for a second too long, then sends it out anyway. The rhythm continues to break, not loudly, but steadily, like a machine missing a single equal piece. Vanessa steps back slightly, crossing her arms again. Her posture remains confident, but her eyes move more now, watching, tracking, searching for where the issue is. She doesn't look at Marcus's station again, not directly, but her gaze lingers near it, just for a moment, then moves on. Next course now. The chef's voice cracks slightly under pressure. Sweat builds along his forehead. He wipes it quickly, trying to maintain control. But control is slipping. Not dramatically. Not yet, but enough to feel it. And through it all, one quiet realization begins to form. Unspoken, unacknowledged, but present. The kitchen didn't lose speed. It didn't lose skill. It lost something else, something harder to define, something no one wrote down, something no one taught out loud. Precision. Understanding. Vanessa watches another plate leave the pass. Her expression tightens again, just slightly. She doesn't say anything this time, but the confidence from earlier is no longer as solid. And somewhere outside, beyond the walls of noise and pressure, Marcus walks further away from the building, unaware of the exact mistakes, but fully aware of the pattern, because he's seen it before, felt it before. And he knows exactly what happens next. Inside, the system keeps moving, still fast, still loud, still convinced it made the right decision. But the truth is already there, quiet, persistent, impossible to ignore for much longer. They didn't. Problem. They removed the one thing holding everything together. The dining room glows under soft golden light. Crystal glasses catch reflections. Silverware rests perfectly aligned. Every table set like a promise. At first, everything looks flawless. Guests arrive in tailored suits and quiet confidence. Conversations flow easily. Laughter rises low and controlled. This is what the restaurant was built for. Perfection. It's fragile. And tonight, it starts to crack out. The plates leave the kitchen in a smooth line. Elegant, carefully arranged. From a distance, nothing seems wrong. Servers move gracefully between tables, placing dishes down with practiced precision. For a moment it holds, then a pause. A guest tilts her head slightly after the first bite. Not a reaction loud enough to draw attention, but noticeable. Her companion watches her expression. What is it? He asks quietly. She doesn't answer immediately, just takes another bite. Slower this time. It's different, she says finally. Not impressed, not disappointed, just uncertain. And uncertainty spreads. At another table, a man presses his fork gently into the center of the dish. Too soft. He frowns. cuts into it again. Still not right. He places the fork down carefully, glancing toward the kitchen doors. Inside, the pressure is already building. Next course ready, almost wait, nowhere's the garnish? Who plated this? Voices overlap. Coordinated. Not clean. The chef's movements grow sharper, more aggressive. Focus, he snaps. We're slipping. Vanessa steps into the dining area now, her presence cutting through the calm like a blade beneath silk. She moves table to table, observing. Listening, her smile is controlled. But her eyes are alert, searching, measuring. A server approaches her quietly. Table 3 mentioned the texture. Vanessa raises a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. I'll handle it. She walks. The table herself, posture perfect. Good evening, she says smoothly. I hope everything is to your liking. The guest hesitates, just for a second. It's good, he replies carefully. Just not what I expected. Vanessa's smile doesn't break. We're making minor adjustments tonight, she says. You'll find the next course more refined. She doesn't wait for a response. She turns, walks away, but the words echo behind her. Not what I expected. Back in the kitchen, the tension tightens. It comes back. Then another. Not rejected. Just questioned, and that's worse, because it means something is wrong, but no one can clearly define it. Who's on this station? The chef demands. The replacement cook steps forward slightly. I am. The chef stares at the plate, then at him. This isn't balanced. I followed the recipe, I don't care about the recipe. The words hit hard, louder than intended. The kitchen freezes for a second, then moves again, faster, but less. Vanessa returns, her heels sharper now against the floor. What's happening? She asks, her tone no longer soft. We're correcting you, should have corrected it before service, she cuts in. Her eyes scan the room. This level of inconsistency is unacceptable. No one answers. Because no one has one. Another course goes out. Another hesitation follows. A guest sets his fork down, pushes the plate slightly forward. Not aggressively, but clearly. A signal, and then it happens. Moment everything tilts. At the center table sits a man who hasn't spoken much since arriving. No complaints, no praise, just quiet observation. His presence alone carries weight. People notice him, even if they don't say it. When his dish arrives, the room subtly shifts. Eyes glance in his direction, waiting. He studies the plate for a moment, then takes a bite. Slow, measured, silence follows. He chews, and then he sets the fork down, carefully, deliberately. The sound is soft, but echoes. I'm sorry, he says, his voice calm but firm. This is not acceptable. The words land like a shockwave. Conversations pause. Nearby tables go quiet. Even the servers hesitate. Vanessa turns immediately, her expression tightening. She approaches him, controlled but fast. I assure you, we can this dish, he interrupts. Not raising his voice, lacks structure. The balance is off. The execution, he pauses briefly, choosing his words, is careless. Silence spreads wider now. Ivy, voidable. Vanessa's smile flickers, just slightly. We'll prepare another, I don't want another, he says. His gaze shifts toward the kitchen doors. I want to know who prepared this. The question hangs, sharp, direct, and dangerous. Inside the kitchen, the words reach them like a distant echo. No one moves, no one speaks. The chef's jaw tightens. Vanessa turns slightly, glancing back toward the kitchen, then back to the guest. Our team is fully capable, clearly not tonight. But final. A few whispers ripple through the room now. Low, uncertain. Something is wrong, and everyone feels it. Vanessa straightens, reclaims her posture. This is a temporary inconsistency, she says, her voice stronger now. We've already addressed the issue. The guest watches her for a moment, then asks quietly, what issue? A pause. Too long, too visible. Behind her, one of the servers shifts nervously, and then, almost without meaning to that dish, usually handles it. The words slip out, but clear enough. Vanessa's head turns sharply. Excuse me, the server freezes. I mean, but it's too late. The name is out, and with it, a realization begins to form. Slow, comfortable, heavy. The chef closes his eyes briefly, because he knows, everyone in the kitchen knows. That dish, that specific balance, that consistency was never written down. It was understood by one person. Vanessa feels it now. The shift, the doubt. Tension no longer fully on her control, but on her decision. Her jaw tightens. We removed a weak link, she says quickly. That's all. But the words don't land the same. Not anymore. The guest leans back slightly, studies her, then speaks. If that was your weakest link. A pause. Then you have a much bigger problem. Silence. Complete. No movement. No sound. Just the weight of what was said. Vanessa's composure cracks, not visibly, but enough. A flicker in her eyes, a tightening in her hard breath. She turns sharply toward the kitchen. "Fix it," she says, her voice lower now, more urgent. Immediately. Inside, the team scrambles. They try, they adjust, they follow every step, every detail, but something is missing. Something they can't replicate, because they never truly understood it. They only followed it. Another dish goes out, another hesitation follows, and now there's no hiding it. The problem isn't small, it isn't temporary, it isn't fixable, like this. And for the time since she walked in, Vanessa doesn't look certain anymore. The kitchen doesn't recover. It spirals. Orders stack faster than hands can move. Tickets line up across the rail, overlapping, curling at the edges from the heat. Names of dishes blur together. Timing collapses. Where is table 8's second course? Coming, wait, no, that's not who plated this. Voices rise, crash into each other, break apart again. Nothing lands clean. A pan slips. Oil spits. Someone curses under there. Breath. The chef wipes his hands on his apron, but they're already damp again. "Listen to me," he snaps, louder than before. "We slow down, we reset, but no one slows down. Because slowing down now feels like falling further behind. And falling behind tonight isn't an option." Vanessa steps back into the kitchen. Not walking, driving forward. Her heels hit harder against the floor now, each step sharper, impatient. "What is taking so long?" she demands. No greeting. No restraint. The manager follows closely behind her, his face pale, eyes darting between stations. "We're managing the flow," he says quickly, but his voice betrays him. He's not managing anything. He's watching it unravel. Vanessa moves to the pass, grabbing a plate before it leaves. She inspects it closely. Too closely. "This garnish is wrong," she points. "Fix it." The cook reaches forward, hands slightly shaking, adjusts it. She watches, still not satisfied. "And the sauce, why is it this thick?" "It reduced faster than expected," the cook says. "Then you adjust," she snaps. "You don't send it out like this." Her voice cuts through everything. Sharp, public, no space for error. But the more she pushes, the more things slip. Another plate comes up. She tastes it. Her expression tightens. "More acid." The chef steps in. "It doesn't need more, it does," she interrupts. A pause. The chef hesitates, just long enough, then nods. "Add it." The adjustment is made. The plate goes out. Moments later it comes. Too sharp. Too aggressive. Completely. The cook stares at it, confused. He followed the instruction. Exactly. And still it's worse. The manager exhales sharply, rubbing his forehead. Across the dining room, eyes are starting to linger longer on plates. Conversations are slowing. Not stopping, but changing. Less relaxed. More observant. And in a place built on perception, that shift is dangerous. Table 12 is asking questions. A server whispers urgently. "What kind of questions?" the manager asks. "About consistency. About the menu." The manager nods quickly. "I'll handle it." But before he can move, another voice cuts through. From the dining room. Clear. Unavoidable. "Who prepared this menu originally?" The question carries. Not loud, but heavy. Every word lands. The room stills. Not completely, but enough. Enough for it to matter. Vanessa freezes, just for a second, then turns. Her eyes lock onto the man at the center table again. He hasn't raised his voice, hasn't changed his posture, but now all attention moves toward him, because people recognize him. Not everyone, but enough. A whisper starts at the far table, then another, and another. Low voices connecting dots, realization spreading quietly. That's him. No, wait, it is. The manager feels it before he understands it. That shift, that weight. He steps closer to one of the senior staff, voice low. "Who is he?" The answer comes quickly. Too quickly. "You don't." It's Daniel Laurent. The name lands. And suddenly everything changes. Not just a guest, not just a critic. A standard, a name that shapes careers, destroys reputations, builds them. With a sentence, with a review, with a single moment like this, the manager's throat tightens. His eyes flick toward Vanessa. She hasn't moved, but her posture has shifted, slightly, almost invisible. But there, Daniel Laurent doesn't repeat the question. He doesn't need to. The silence, louder with every second. "Who prepared this menu originally?" Inside the kitchen, the words hit like a shockwave. The chef looks up. His mind runs through everything, every dish, every adjustment. And the answer is clear, unavoidable. He doesn't say it immediately, because saying it changes everything. Vanessa steps forward, her voice controlled again, carefully measured. "Our kitchen operates as a team," she says smoothly. "Every dish is a collaborative effort." Daniel watches her. doesn't interrupt, doesn't react, just listens, and that makes it worse. Behind her, one of the cooks shifts, then another. The weight of the truth pressing forward. Uncomfortable. Someone exhales. What's Marcus? The words come from the side. Soft. The room doesn't need them louder. They're already heard. Vanessa turns sharply. Her eyes flash. Who said that? But it doesn't matter, because now the name is out. And connects. Daniel's expression changes. Not dramatically. Just recognition. A subtle shift in his eyes, as if something clicks into place. Where is he? He asks. Simple. Correct. No one answers immediately, because the answer now feels like a mistake. Vanessa steps in again, faster this time. He's not part of tonight's service, she says, too quickly, too firmly. And for the first time it sounds defensive. Daniel leans back slightly, studying her. Then that's unfortunate. The words are quiet, but they carry weight, the kind that settles into the room and doesn't leave. The manager feels sweat gather at the back of his neck. Investors are watching now, not eating, watching. The atmosphere has shifted completely. This is no longer just a dinner. It's a moment. And they're failing it in real time. Vanessa turns back toward the kitchen, her composure tightening like armor. Fix this, she says again. But now it's not a command. It's a demand under pressure. Gosh, against something already slipping. The chef moves faster, calls orders louder. But his voice doesn't carry the same authority anymore. Because doubt has entered the room. And doubt spreads faster than fire. Another dish goes out. Another pause follows. Another glance. Another quiet reaction. Vanessa steps in again, correcting, adjusting, controlling. But each intervention makes it worse, because she's not feeling the rhythm. She's forcing it, and the kitchen is breaking under it. Schneider finally steps aside, pulling out his phone. His hands are unsteady. He hesitates, then lowers it again, because he already knows what needs to happen. Across the room, Daniel Laurent picks up his glass, takes a slow sip. Still watching, still waiting, not impatient, just certain. And in that moment the power shifts, not loudly, not dramatically, but completely. Because the question is no longer if something is wrong, it's who caused it. And for the first time since she walked, Vanessa doesn't have the answer under control anymore. Aichin is no longer a system. It's noise. Tickets stack so high they begin to overlap, curling at the edges from heat and humidity. Orders blur into each other. Names of dishes are shouted, repeated, forgotten, shouted again. Where is table 4's main? I said 2 minutes. Who said that 5 minutes ago? A pan hits the stove too hard. Oil splashes. Someone pulls back, hissing under their breath. The rhythm is gone. Completely gone. Vanessa stands at the center again, but this time, eyes not observing. She's intervening. Constantly. No, not like that, move that. Her hand reaches over a plate mid-prep, adjusting garnish that was already placed. And that's too much. Start over. The cook freezes for half a second, then obeys. Argument. No time. But the reset costs seconds. Seconds they don't have. Why is this still here, she snaps, pointing at a dish waiting at the pass. It's not ready, then why is it sitting? The cook grabs it, rushes back, trying to fix something that wasn't broken. Now it is. The chef watches it happen. Jaw tight, hands clenched. But he says nothing, because pushing back now is risk. And tonight, no one is choosing risk. The manager paces near the entrance, his tie loosens slightly, though he doesn't realize it. His eyes keep drifting toward the dining room, toward the tables, toward the faces that are no longer relaxed. Investors lean back in their chairs, no longer focused on conversation. They're watching, evaluating, quietly. And that silence feels heavier than any complaint. Another plate returned, a server says, stepping in carefully. Her voice is lower now, almost cautious. What's the issue? The manager asks. Temperature. And the seasoning. The manager nods quickly. Fix it. But the word sounds hollow, because nothing is being fixed. It's just being repeated. Vanessa steps forward again, picking up another plate before it leaves. She tastes. Her face tightens. More salt. The cook hesitates. IT was already adjusted. She looks at him, waiting. He adds it. The plate goes out. Seconds later, it's worse. Now over-seasoned. No balance left. The guest doesn't send it back this time. Just stops eating, and that's worse. Focus, the chef shouts again, louder now, but the authority in his voice is cracking. Everyone slow down, but no one slows. Because slowing feels like failure, and they're already too close to it. Then the voice. From the dining room. Shaken. Prepared this menu originally? Everything stops, not physically. The kitchen still moves, but something inside it freezes. Vanessa turns immediately. Her expression tightens, but she walks forward, controlled, composed, as if she still owns the moment. The man at the center table doesn't move, doesn't raise his voice again. He doesn't need to, because now people are watching him, recognizing him. Whispers begin. Low, fast, spreading like heat. That's him. I've seen him before. Happy, the manager steps closer to a server, voice low. Who is that? The answer comes in a whisper. That's Daniel Laurent. The name hits hard. The manager's face drains because he knows exactly what that means. This isn't just a guest. This is a decision maker, a reputation maker, or destroyer. Vanessa hears the shift around her, feels it, but she doesn't let it show. Not fully. She steps closer to the table. Our menu is a collaborative effort, she says smoothly, but her tone is tighter now, less fluid. Daniel Laurent watches her, silent. Then that wasn't my question. Simple, direct, unavoidable. Inside the kitchen, the tension snaps tighter. The chef looks down at his hands, then at the empty station, then away, because he already knows the answer. Everyone does. Vanessa's posture stiffens. We've made adjustments tonight, and those adjustments, Daniel says quietly, are the problem. Silence. Complete. The kind that presses against the walls. A cook shifts. I await. Another exhales. And then it was Marcus. But final, Vanessa turns sharply. Her eyes flash. But the damage is done. The name is out, and it lands. Daniel's expression changes. Recognition. Clear. Immediate. Wow. But it carries weight. No one answers, because the truth now feels dangerous. Vanessa steps in quickly. He's not part of tonight's service. Too fast, too defensive, and now everyone hears it. Daniel leans back slightly, studying her, then nods once. That explains it. 3 words. Quiet, but devastating. Across the room, investors exchange glances, subtle, but clear. Something is wrong, not just with the food, with the decision. The manager feels sweat run down his back. He wipes his hands again, but they're still damp, because this is no longer a small issue. This is visible, public, and happening in real time. Vanessa turns back toward the kitchen. Her composure tightens again. I exit, she says. But the words don't carry the same control. Not anymore. Now they sound like pressure, like urgency, like something slipping. Inside, the chef pushes harder. Move faster, watch your timing, stay sharp. But it doesn't work, because speed without control creates more mistakes. Another plate goes out. Another hesitation follows. Another guest leans back, fork resting untouched. Vanessa steps in again, adjusting, correcting, controlling. But now it's obvious she's reacting, not leading. The manager steps aside, pulling out his phone again. This time he doesn't hesitate as long. His thumb hovers, then stops, because he already knows who he needs to call. Across the dining room, Daniel Laurent lifts his glass, takes a slow sip, still calm, still watching, waiting, because he knows something they don't want to admit yet. This isn't about fixing dishes anymore. It's about fixing a mistake, and that mistake is already walking away from the building. Outside, the night feels still, not silent, but distant. Cars pass somewhere far off. A faint breeze moves through the street, carrying the smell of the city, warm, layered, alive. Marcus sits on a low concrete ledge across from the restaurant, not hiding, not watching the door, just sitting, elbows resting on his knees, hands loosely clasped. His posture is relaxed, breathing steady, as if the world behind him doesn't exist. Inside, it's the opposite. Nothing is steady. The kitchen is louder. Ow, but the noise feels hollow, like it's covering something instead of controlling it. Where is that plate? I sent it. No, wait, you sent the wrong one. Voices overlap again, frustration creeping in. Not controlled anymore. Personal. The chef slams a towel onto the counter. Stop guessing, he snaps. If you don't know, ask, but no one asks. Because asking now feels like admitting failure, and failure is already too close. The manager stands near the edge of the dining room, his eyes moving constantly, table to table, face to face, reading reactions, and they're all the same now, polite but distant. Guests are still seated, still composed, but they're no longer engaged. Forks rest longer between bites. Glasses are lifted more than plates. The energy has shifted, and he knows this is how reputation slips. Not in loud moments, in quiet ones. Vanessa feels it too. She stands near the center of the room, but for the first time she doesn't move immediately. Her confidence is there, now less certain. She watches a table as a guest pushes his plate slightly forward, not rejecting it. Just done. That small gesture hits harder than any complaint. A group of investors exchange glances, subtle, measured, but unmistakable. They're not impressed. They're evaluating, and that's dangerous. Vanessa straightens her posture, trying to reclaim the space. This is temporary, she says to one of them, her voice controlled. We're In real time, the investor nods slowly. Please don't agree. Back in the kitchen, another dish is returned. This time, no explanation, just sent back. The chef stares at it for a second too long, then turns away, because there's nothing left to say. The manager finally exhales sharply. Enough. He turns quickly, stepping toward one of the staff near the entrance. Go find him. The words come out low. Urgent? The staff member hesitates. Are you sure now? Number. Our room for debate. The staff member nods and rushes out. Vanessa sees it. Her eyes narrow slightly. Where is he going? The manager doesn't answer immediately. Then to fix this, a pause. She understands. And for the first time, there's resistance in her expression. You think bringing him back solves this? She asks, her tone tightening. The manager meets her eyes. It's the first time he doesn't look away. I think he was never the problem. The words land, clean, direct. Tightens. Her authority cracks, not loudly, but enough, because now it's being questioned. Openly, at the center table, Daniel Laurent sets his glass down, gently. He hasn't touched the last dish placed in front of him. It sits there, cooling. Ignored. He looks toward the kitchen doors, then toward Vanessa, and finally speaks. I won't continue. The room stills again. Every word is deliberate. I'm not interested in a revised version. A pause. I want the original. Silence spreads. Heavy. Vanessa steps forward, her voice carefully controlled. We can improve now, he says. Not louder, just final. Bring back the one who understood the menu. That's it. No anger, no emotion, just expectation. The weight of it presses down on everything. Staff, guests, watching. Vanessa stands there, for a moment too long, her mind moving, calculating, searching for control. But there's no angle left, no argument that works. This isn't about authority anymore. It's about results, and the results are failing. Around her, the same people who supported her earlier are quieter now, more distant. One of the investors folds his arms, another leans back. No one speaks, but their silence says enough. The power has shifted, completely. Vanessa exhales slowly. Her shoulders rise, then settle. For the first time tonight, she hesitates, not outwardly, but internally. The kind of hesitation that doesn't show in movement, only in delay. Because now the truth is clear. Her decision is the problem. She looks toward the kitchen, then toward the entrance, and back to Daniel Laurent, still waiting. Still calm. There's only one move left, one action that fixes everything. But it requires something she hasn't shown once tonight, something she's avoided at every step. Admitting she was wrong, her fingers tighten slightly at her sides. A small detail, but enough, because it's the first crack in her, control that no one can miss. Outside, across the street, Marcus sits in the same position, unmoved, unbothered. The city continues around him. Time moves, but he doesn't rush it. Footsteps approach, fast, uneven. The staff member sent by the manager slows as he reaches him, slightly out of breath. Marcus looks up, calm, steady, as if he already knows. Inside, the entire room waits, not for food, not for service, but for a decision. And for the first time since she walked in, Vanessa doesn't control what happens next. Marcus, the staff member, slows down as he reaches him, trying to catch his breath. There's a problem. Marcus looks up. His expression doesn't change. What kind of problem? He asks quietly. The man hesitates, glances back toward the restaurant, then back at him. They need you back. A pause. Marcus studies his face for a second, not rushing, not reacting, just reading. And now they need me? He asks. No sarcasm, just clarity. The staff member swallows. It's falling apart inside. Another pause. Marcus shifts slightly, standing up from the ledge, still calm. They removed you, the man adds quickly, almost defensively. But it wasn't. Marcus raises a hand slightly, not to stop him, just enough to silence the explanation. I understand, he says, and he does. Fully. Waits, expecting more. Or frustration, something. But Marcus just looks toward the restaurant. The lights, the movement behind the the pressure inside, then back at him. I'll come back, Marcus says. Simple, direct, but I cook my way. The words land quietly, no negotiation. The staff member nods immediately. Yes, of course, because now there's no room to argue. Inside, the air is heavier, thicker. Vanessa stands near the center, her posture still composed, but her silence louder than before. She's no longer giving orders, no longer correcting. She's watching, because control has slipped. Door opens, softly, but every head turns, not dramatically, not all at once, but enough. Marcus steps in. Same pace, same calm, as if nothing has changed. But everything has. The chef sees him first. A flicker of relief crosses his face. Quick, he steps forward slightly. But Marcus doesn't wait for the explanation. Doesn't need it. He walks past him, straight to his station. It's exactly how he left it. Clean. Organized. He just looks at. Odd emotionally, not nostalgically. Just assessing, then he moves. Hands wash. No wasted motion. He reaches for a knife, tests the edge with his thumb, then sets it down. The word isn't loud, but it cuts through everything. The kitchen stills, not completely, but enough. Marcus looks at the plates being prepared, the rushed movements, the scattered rhythm. No one moves for 10 seconds, he says. A pause. The chef hesitates. Then do it, he orders. Suddenly the noise stops. Pans stay on heat. Hands freeze mid-motion. 10 seconds. Silence. Marcus looks around, takes it in. The pressure, the mistakes, the imbalance. Then he steps forward. Start again, he says. Not louder, but clear. He picks up a pan, adjusts the flame slightly. Not much, just enough, then begins. Everything about his movement is different. Not faster, not slower, just exact. He doesn't rush, doesn't hesitate. Each step connects to the next. Clean, intentional. Poutine first, he says quietly. The cook beside him adjusts immediately. No argument. No delay. Sauce later, let it breathe. Another adjustment. The rhythm begins to form again. Slowly. No shouting. No chaos, just direction. Simple. Comes together. Marcus pauses. Looks at it. Moves one element slightly. Just a fraction. Then nods. Send it. The server takes it. More confident this time. Around him, the kitchen begins to follow. Not because they're told to. IIT. Wing starts to align. Movements become smoother, less forced. Vanessa watches from the side. Tonight, she doesn't step in, doesn't correct, doesn't speak, because what she's seeing is something she can't control. Another plate goes out, then another. No hesitation this time. No confusion. Next course, Marcus says. Not loud, but heard. The chef steps back slightly, not out of weakness, out of recognition, because this is what was. Eye missing. The kitchen breathes again. The pressure doesn't disappear. But it changes, becomes focused, directed. Marcus moves through it like he belongs there, like he always did, like nothing ever interrupted him. He doesn't look at Vanessa, not once, not even by accident. And that silence, that complete lack of acknowledgement speaks louder than anything he could say. Another dish returns from the dining room, but this time empty. Clean, finished, a small shift, but enough. Carver sets it down. They loved it. Excitement, just confirmation. Marcus nods once. Already moving to the next, and slowly, the room begins to change. Not dramatically, not instantly, but steadily, because control has returned. And it didn't come from authority, or volume, or pressure. It came from him. The final course is plated in silence, not the kind of silence that comes from fear, the kind that comes from control. Every movement in the kitchen slows not in pace, but in intention. Hands steady, eyes focused, no wasted motion. Marcus stands at the pass. He doesn't rush the last plate. He studies it. A slight adjustment to the garnish. A subtle shift in placement. The smallest detail barely visible corrected with absolute precision. Then he steps back. Send it. The server nods, but even that feels quieter now. More careful, because everyone knows where this plate is going. The dining room feels different. Still. Not tense. Expectant. Honor, table. Daniel Laurent sits exactly as before. Composed, unmoved, but waiting. The plate is placed in front of him, perfectly centered. The server steps back, and for a moment nothing happens. Daniel looks at the dish, not just at it, through it. His eyes scan every detail. The structure, the balance, the intention behind it. His fingers rest lightly on the edge of the table, still. Then he picks up the fork, slowly. No rush, no performance, just angle, measured motion. He takes a bite. Time stretches. The room doesn't move. No glasses lift. No conversations continue. Even the air feels like it pauses. He chews, once, then stops. No expression. Nothing to read. Vanessa stands a few steps away. Her posture is still straight, but her hands are no longer relaxed, fingers pressed slightly together. Waiting, the manager stands behind her, not breathing properly, not blinking enough. Inside the kitchen, no one speaks. Number. One pretends to work. They're all listening. For something. Anything. Daniel sets the fork down. Gently. The sound is soft, but it lands like impact. He leans back slightly. And for the first time, his expression changes, subtle but unmistakable. Nods once, measured, the words are quiet, but they carry more weight than anything said all night. A breath releases across the room, not loudly, but collectively. Daniel looks up. Howard, the kitchen. Who made this? The question lands differently now. Not sharp, not challenging, but direct, respectful. Vanessa doesn't answer this time. She doesn't move, because she knows the answer isn't hers to control anymore. The manager steps forward slightly, his voice lower. It was Marcus. Daniel's eyes hold steady. Bring him, no hesitation now, no delay. Inside the kitchen, the chef looks at Marcus. Marcus doesn't react. He wipes his hands calmly, removes his eye apron, folds it once, places it down. Then he walks, not fast, not slow, just steady. The doors open, and Marcus steps into the dining room. The shift is immediate, subtle, but powerful. Conversations stop again. Eyes follow him, not because he demands attention, because he doesn't. He walks to the table, stops, doesn't speak first. Daniel studies him, a long look, not judging, recognizing. You prepared the original menu, Daniel says. Marcus nods once. Yes. Another pause. You left. It's not a question. Marcus doesn't explain. I was asked to. The truth sits there. Simple, unpolished. Daniel's eyes flick briefly toward Vanessa, then back to Marcus, and something passes between them. Unspoken, understood. This, Daniel says, gesturing lightly to the plate, is your work. Marcus doesn't smile, doesn't take pride outwardly. It's how it should be. A small shift in Daniel's expression, not amusement, respect. Consistency, Daniel says quietly. Rare. Marcus says nothing, because he doesn't need to. Behind him, Vanessa stands frozen, the weight of the moment pressing down. Every eye in the room is no longer on the food, but on her, on what she did, on what it caused. Her authority, taken, not challenged, steps forward, slowly, carefully. Her voice, when it comes, is different, completely. Marcus, the name feels unfamiliar in her mouth now. Not dismissive, not sharp, but uncertain. He turns his, eyed slightly. Not fully, just enough to acknowledge. She pauses, and for the first time she doesn't have the words ready. I may have misjudged the situation. The sentence struggles out, not smooth, not controlled. Marcus looks at her, fully. There's no anger in his eyes, no satisfaction, no need to respond emotionally, just clarity. You didn't taste the food, he says, calm. Simple. The truth lands harder than any insult. Vanessa's lips press together. She nods, tightly. Nishan. Around them, the room watches, not loudly, not dramatically, but closely. Because this moment, she takes a small breath. I'd like you to continue, she says. No authority, no command, just request. Marcus holds her gaze for a second, then he nods once. Not for her, for the work. And that's all. He turns, walks back toward the kitchen. No pause, no lingering, no need to stand in the moment, because the moment already passed. Vanessa, remains where she is. Yeah. Watching him leave, and for the first time tonight she understands something clearly. He didn't need to prove anything. He never did. Because everything he needed to say was already on the plate. The rest of the night continues, not perfectly, but steadily. The chaos doesn't return, the panic fades, and in its place something quieter settles in. Control. Plates leave the kitchen again, one after another. Consistent, balanced. Tours now. No second guessing. Pauses at the pass. They move with confidence, because they know what they're carrying. In the dining room, the shift is just as clear. Conversations return, not forced. Guests lean forward again. Plates are finished. Glasses are raised not to distract, but to complement. The energy rebuilds itself. Not loudly, but completely. Daniel Laurent continues his meal, course after course. No more interruptions, no more questions. Just quiet. Acknowledgement. Each plate returned empty, each one saying more than words ever could. The investors notice. Of course they do. They always do. But now their attention has changed. No longer scanning for flaws, now observing performance. Precision. Consistency. What actually matters. One of them leans toward the manager. Who is he? The manager doesn't hesitate this time. Marcus read. The name carries differently now. Not unknown, not overlooked, recognized. Vanessa stands near the edge of the room, not at the center anymore. Not directing, not correcting, just, No one goes to her for decisions now. No one waits for her approval. The room has already moved past that. She notices it. Of course she does. The subtle distance, the shift in how people look at her, not disrespect, something quieter, heavier. She adjusts her posture slightly, straightens her shoulders, but it doesn't bring the control back, because control doesn't come from posture. It comes from results. And tonight, the results didn't come from her. In the kitchen, Marcus finishes the final dish of the night. He plates it the same way he started. Carefully, deliberately. No rush, even now. Last table, the chef says quietly. Marcus nods once. Send it. The plate leaves, and with it the last bit of tension. The kitchen begins to slow, not collapse, just settle. Pans are turned off. Stations cleaned. Tools return to their places. The rhythm doesn't break. Pauses. The chef walks over to Marcus, stops beside him. For a moment, he doesn't say anything. Then you held it together. Simple words. No exaggeration. No performance. Marcus wipes his hands. It was slipping. That's all. The chef nods. Because he knows. We'll talk tomorrow, he adds. About what? Promotion. Recognition. Does that matter here? Marcus doesn't ask. Doesn't react. Just nods once. In the dining room, Daniel Laurent stands. His chair slides back softly. Room notices. Not dramatically, but enough. He puts on his coat, pauses briefly near the exit, and for a moment his eyes move toward the kitchen doors. Then he leaves. No speech. No announcement. Need. That's the highest form of approval. Silence. The night ends. Gradually. Guests leave. Lights dim slightly. Staff begin to relax, but not completely. Because something about tonight will stay. Vanessa remains one of the last in the room. Still, the manager passes by her. Stops. Just briefly. We recovered, he says. Not to reassure her. Just to state it. She nods. Yes, but her voice lacks weight. Because she knows they didn't recover because of her. They recovered in spite of her. He walks away. And for the first time, no one stays with her. The room empties. Later, the kitchen is quiet again. Just like it was in the morning. Still. Honest, Marcus stands at his station. Alone. A single light above him. He picks up a knife. Runs it along the sharpening stone. Steady. The same rhythm as before. Nothing about him has changed. Not his posture. Not his focus. Not his pace. No celebration. No reflection. No need. It wasn't something new. It was just another moment. Another test. Another reminder. He finishes sharpening. Tests the edge. Perfect. Then he starts preparing ingredients for tomorrow. Same precision. Same care. As if none of it, the tension, the humiliation, the pressure. Maybe it didn't. Because he was never trying to prove them wrong. He was never trying to win. He was simply doing what he always does. Working, refining, becoming. And the truth is, they didn't underestimate him because he was quiet. They underestimated him because they didn't understand what quiet really means.